Hey, what is up, YouTube? My name is Mamba, and today we're going to be talking about nades in Counter-Strike. What are the nades available? What nade should you prioritize? And when is it most effective to use them? We're going to start off with the CD's perspective from the CD side and the 4 nades that we have available. I'm not going to count decoy in it. So 4 nades that we have are the HE grenade, the flashbang, the smoke, and the Molotov. And the most important grenade out of all of these 4 nades is the smoke grenade. And the reason why I say it's the most important nade is because of the fact that smokes, one, are the easiest to use, but they're also the most effective at holding off your enemies. Now, the other thing is also the fact that you cannot take out a smoke out of the map, because if you throw a smoke, it's going to be there for 14 seconds no matter what happens. If the smoke is thrown, it's going to stay there. But on the other hand, imagine you throw a Molotov, but if you throw a smoke, you can take that Molotov out. So of course, the first nade is going to be the smoke grenade. How to use them, I'm going to talk about it in a bit. The second most important nade that you should prioritize on the CD side is the Molotov. And the reason why I say this is because the smoke buys you 14 seconds of time. Second is the Molotov, because again, this gives you 7 seconds to it either buys you 7 seconds if you're using this late game, so that they can't rush to the Molotov, or in the worst case scenario, they rush to the Molotov, they're still taking damage. The third is, of course, the flashbang, and the fourth and the final nade is the HE grenade. Now, the reason why I said you should prioritize the smoke is because of the fact, but before that, let's talk about when to use these nades. So, smoke and the Molotov, you should be focusing on using them in the late game, and nade and the flashbang, you should be focusing on using them early game. Of course, this is not a hard written rule, but this is a generally advised rule for, especially for newer players in matches as well. And the reason why I say this as CTs is because of the fact that a lot of players make this mistake. Even, for example, on Inferno, I could give you an example on Overpass as well on the B side, when they just go in towards B short and just smoke it off. So a lot of players who play Arch, a lot of new players just come in and throw the smoke early game, which doesn't make sense, because then they're not going to be rushing through mid. And even if you throw the smoke, if they want to rush through mid, they're going to flash it out. They're going to flash themselves in and rush through mid. But imagine this: you throw the smoke in. Never mind. You throw the smoke in the first 14 seconds of the match. What good does it do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry, so I had to add this bit of information while I was editing the video, because I forgot to talk about one part, that is that everything that you do in Counter-Strike should have a purpose. Every piece of utility that you use should have a purpose. If you're throwing a smoke, why are you throwing the smoke? Ask yourself this question. If you're throwing a flash, why are you throwing this flash? If you're throwing a nade, why are you doing it? Ask yourself this question before you use any piece of utility or you do anything in Counter-Strike. And I think this is the most important rule in terms of learning how to think, because you can't be taught how to think, but of course there are some drills that you can do to improve your decision making. So the most important thing, ask yourself this question: why are you doing it? And well, carry on with the video. You should be focusing on using this smoke only when you have a queue. If it's, for example, somewhere around the 1 minute mark when they start, if you don't have a clue but you want to make a play, 1 minute marker is usually the time when a lot of new players start making their moves, because that is, I don't know, it's just this inherent thing in a lot of players. But yeah, so if you hear them close mid, if you hear flash pins being pulled out, or you know that they're going to be coming through mid, that is when it's a good time to throw the smoke, because that's going to buy you 14 more seconds. And of course, it's not a hard wall. They can still come through the smoke, but in that case, you know exactly where they're coming through, and you can see their outlet. Imagine this: if I'm still at this edge, you can still see my foot, but I can't see anything. So you know exactly where they're coming from. They can't see where you are, and you can easily spray them down. Now, the second nade that I'm going to talk about is the Molotov. And again, I'm gonna recommend using this late game unless you're trying to take control. For example, you're trying to take early banana control. You throw in one close Molotov, you throw in one deep Molotov, and then you're gonna smoke off deep banana. I think that Molotov didn't really work out, but whatever. You get the point. You smoke off deep banana, and then you take in control and you nade tree. In that case, maybe yes, you can use the Molotov early on. But the reason why Molotovs are really effective in the late round situations is, imagine this: it's probably like 45 or 30 seconds left on the clock. The T's have mostly used up most of the utility for map control. They probably flash themselves in. They still have a couple of flashbangs left for the executor for the take, but in a general case, right, last 30 seconds they want to enter a side, they have nades. They're gonna try and throw these two smokes. They're gonna block off the CD side and the constructions area, and this is where they use the smokes. And in this case, if you throw your Molotov, they mostly won't have a smoke to work with. So they have two options: either to wait 7 seconds for the Molotov to go away, or go through it. Now, if they wait for 7 seconds, which means that flashes that they are timed are gonna get rendered useless, number one. Number 2, you're going to buy yourself more time to reposition yourself. Number 3, you're going to buy your teammates 7 more seconds from the A bomb site to rotate from all the way to the CD base. And 7 seconds is a lot of time. I started from library at 5:57, and at 5:50 I'm here. So the backup is going to be there in the time that the Molotov fades away. So smokes and Molotovs are the 2 of the most important nades that you should be focusing on, because they're easy to use and of course they're really effective later on. Next up is flashbangs. Now this is a double-edged sword for newer players, because imagine this. And of course you could argue, why can't flashbangs be the nades that we prioritize? Even if you throw the best flash in the world, the enemy is probably only going to get blinded for like 3 seconds max, and it's going to be really hard for you to kill them all at the same time. Also, if you throw out the flash in the wrong way, or if your teammate mistimes it, you can flash your teammate as well. And we're not talking about pro games. We're talking about new players. We're talking about bugs where the synergy is not there well. You've not really gelled well with your teammates because it's a random bunch of players, right? So third is the flashbang. Of course, you can make plays. You can probably go to coils, throw the antenna flash where your teammate is close up there. He has a Q. He can get a pick and come back, and you can make plays with it. The last is the nade, and the reason why this is the last, even though it could be really effective, is because of the fact that for a nade to be effective, you need to know exactly where the enemies are. So imagine this: there's an enemy over here, but the nade explodes over here. It's not going to do a lot of damage to him. It's probably going to take off like what, 5 points of health, 10 points of health, or 20 points of health max to max, even if it lands in his vicinity. But giving an example of an early round situation, right? If you're taking control of banana and if it's at tree, in that case the nade is effective because the nade is landing right at his feet. But in most of the cases, you don't really know where they are, and you have to time it to perfection as well. So I would suggest that you focus on the nades the least, because of course they're harder to use as well. So as a newer player, you should focus on the smokes and the Molotovs and just try and learn how to use them to maintain map control and to gain map control. And apart from that, on the terrorist side's perspective, I think it's still pretty similar, but it's a little more free flowing. Of course, flashes are a little more important in the case of the T's. Of course, you need smokes to block off a couple of angles, but you could do without them, because there are times that you go where you're late into the round, you want to go for a contact play and you want to hit, take them by surprise. So on the T side, it is a little bit free flowing. The rules are not as strict, but of course on the CD side, this is what you should be prioritizing: smoke, Molotov, flashbang, and the grenade. So if you have like $500, just get a smoke, get a flashbang. If you have $600, smoke and probably a flashbang or 2, or maybe a nade, depending on where you're playing as well. So that's practically it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and this was a very basic tutorial on how to use the nades effectively in Counter-Strike. If there are any questions, please let me know down in the comment section. If you guys like the content, leave a like down below, and make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and of course the bell icon as well, because a lot of you guys have been complaining that you guys don't get notifications when I stream. But nonetheless, thank you so much guys for watching. I'll see you guys the next time.